Hey, W here. I am sitting next to my 3D printer, which has a bed full of things because I'm about to embark on, I have embarked on a project that I wanted to do for a while, and I'm going to turn these things into a thing. I am going to bring you guys along. Uh, but let's get it off the printer and onto the worktop, and let's see if I can turn it into something cool.
Okay, so here we are on the worktop. There's no point in being secretive about this. What I'm making is the hero weapon from the movie Dragonslayer. It's a classic, I think. I'm not actually sure if it was big when it came out, but I loved it. And of course, the hero has in a movie about dragons that's literally called Dragonslayer. Well, the hero has a weapon with which to slay a dragon. The lance is called the Sicarius Dracorum. All the parts are on the print bed except this. Obviously, this is a giant. This is a spearhead that's like almost 2 feet long. So it's too big to print in one piece, obviously. And I've printed most of it, but I did this one first as sort of a test to see how it would fare on the printer. Make sure that I was in the ballpark. So these are the parts that I'm going to turn into the spearhead. Uh, this fits onto the shaft. I'm going to put a shaft on it as well, and these spikes are also on the shaft. Yep, so that's the job. That's the task at hand, and I'm just going to dive in. Oh no, this is fun. I printed this too large. I scale the objects on the print bed, so I seem to have scaled this one wrong when I printed it. It's too big. We can have a slight preview right now with some parts missing, but roughly the idea of the spear is that it's going to look something like this. With the barbs here, they are a little further down, and of course the whole thing here, right there. But that's what I'm making right now. I'm making this amazing, beautiful spear. But first, before I can move along or forge ahead, I'm gonna have to reprint this. Clap, clap. All right, so I have printed the missing part, and this is all we're going to need. Well, this is all I am going to need for my Dragon Slayer prop. I am going to make a version of this, which this is going to be the found part. So if I don't know if you've watched the movie or if you have, if you remember, but the lance breaks off. Galen stabs the dragon, and the lance breaks. I've got some screenshots of it right here. Galen looking at the broken lance and the broken off piece in the dragon, and you can see that it breaks right, below these barbs here. And the story behind the thing that I'm about to make is that this piece, the piece that stayed in the dragon, it was found. I probably talk too much when doing this. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll have noticed that I time-lapse a lot of the stuff that I do because I appreciate you and I don't want to bore you, but I actually enjoy having the cameras running. It helps me build the storytelling of the thing, and it helps me helps me sort of advance my thinking about the thing that I'm making, telling it to somebody. And the cameras make this a performance of a sort rather than a crazy person talking to himself. Right, so now that was the prep, and the next part, of course, is gluing everything except this thing together to form this giant, I mean, look at this massive lance here. It's huge, but of course it was meant to kill a dragon, so yep, makes sense. I'm going to put this together. Here we go. Cross your fingers for me. Thank you. Get some soups glue on here. That's actually, that feels really, that feels and looks good. So I hope you're still crossing them fingies for me, please. That looks very, very good. And bonk. It's huge. Dear Lord, this thing is big. I'm just going to touch up these seams a little bit, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I've developed. You guys, this is going to be so cool. Check it out. It's shaping up well, man. Woo! Yay! Okay, so before I've gotten around to painting doing the final paint on the hardware here, while it's still in the primer, I'm just gonna make the handle, the spear shaft, ready. There we go. A little bit more. A few more strokes. I think that's it. And then I'm going to glue it in, like I said, eventually. And largely blows. Fitting everything in the camera view is not possible in this small space. But this is something like where we're going. And then the next part that I'm going to do, basically the final part in preparation for for making the shaft, is that between these two parts and between these two pieces of hardware on the prop is a leather wrap. So I need some. It's not fully wrapped. It's just some leather straps on here, and I'm gonna have to find those. And then, of course, finally, I'm going to create a break on this end that kind of looks like it does in the film. I had been considering that I was just going to wedge this end into something and then break it. But I don't feel confident that I will get a proper looking break. I might, but then again I might not. So what I'm going to do is I'm pretty sure anyway is that I'm going to cut it so that it looks like roughly like the break, and then I'm going to make it look more like the break by hand. It is time for the very messy task, probably, of staining the shaft. And I'm just going to stain the raw piece like this, obviously. I mean, you can even see there's a barcode is still on there. And that's because I'm going to make a break on this end, but I want to stain it first and then break it. And then I'm going to decide how to stain and how much to stain the break. Really, really simple and straightforward, really, but probably pretty messy because staining is messy.
may have mentioned this before, but this thing is huge. Oh my God, it's so big. There we go. All right, yeah, I don't think I painted the camera, but I painted part of the wall, and I also painted my calipers. Thank God this is water-based paint. I should be a little bit more careful. There's, oh, well, you can actually see that. I've been painting. Oh my God. Okay, so that was that. In case you're wondering what is going on here right now, my experience from the previous project, which involved some metallic paints, taught me, or it indicated to me, I'm not sure I'm right, but it indicated to me that using a larger needle and nozzle combination might be preferable when using metallics because of the particulate in metallic paints, which has a tendency, or this was the impression that I got, a tendency to clog up the airbrush a little bit. As I understand, this is what I'll be using this time. This is a Vallejo gunmetal, and as I understand it, it is not among the worst culprits. Nonetheless, though, I am going to put a 0.5 millimeter, the biggest. This is the biggest needle that I have, or the biggest, the biggest set of needle and everything else that I have. So I'm going to try. So I'm going to try and put that in. If, of course, my giant fat fingers would like to cooperate. There we go. All right, the part of the project that I'm working on today is I have given this a base coat of black, and now I'm going to dust this with gunmetal to get this sort of metallic sheen to it. That's in no way at the end of making it metallic, but I'm pretty sure that it's a good first step. So that's what I'm going to do now. Basically, dust the whole thing lightly with gunmetal. This is a dusting, not a coat of paint, which means that I can do like this and dust it, and then I can more or less just flip it, because a dusting settles and dries very quickly. I think it's kind of a common misconception with many of us when we're young, or if we never get around to thinking about it that much, that metal is metal colored, like silver. So if we want something to look like metal, we're thinking, I just need to give this a silvery color. And as you find out when you start trying to replicate metal finish in other materials, such as 3D printed plastic, for example, you realize that the silvery metal color that many of us have in our mind's eye when we don't have an experience with it, it's very much just part of the story, and in many cases even a small part of the story. You know what? I think, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for now. So I'm just going to take this off to the side. All right, my friends, we are in the process of metalizing this piece here. And the next step of that is I'm going to apply the aluminum. I think I'm going to go with aluminium. That's what we call it around here, I guess. I'm going to apply the aluminium tape to the edges. Now, there are several challenges with this. One, not the least of which being how sticky this stuff is
when you take the backing off, and it's thin and it curls up. But so you're gonna watch me fumble a lot about that or with that. Also, though, on a roll like this, it doesn't matter how much of it I roll out. I cannot get a piece of the full length that doesn't have one of these creases. So I'm either going to have to work around them or work with them. I think I'm going to try and work around. You see, there's this technique when you're putting a kind of a tape or adhesive or even wallpaper over itself. You can if you do that, put it over and then cut in the overlap, you get a very, very smooth connection there, which can actually be almost invisible. And I'm thinking that I should try to get, instead of trying to wrangle a piece that's this like a foot and a half, it's really long. Try to wrangle that whole piece on there while it's sticky on the back and curling up and all that, and with these creases everywhere. I think I should try and get, as much of it. I think I might have to just cut this into some sections. I don't want to hamper the outcome simply to not be wasteful by cutting this tape up. I can buy another roll of tape. So I think I'm going to cut out some pieces as long as I can get them without a crease. And then I'm going to try and piece those pieces together on the edge here with an overlapping, like I said, with the overlapping cutting technique. And in cutting this tape, aluminium tape here, it's actually quite important to use a sharp blade. If the tip of this blade is even slightly not sharp, it has a tendency to sort of pull the metal. It'll sort of rip and pull the metal instead of cutting cleanly through it. Actually, you can already see it. What I just talked about, ripping. Can you see that on camera? Yes, there and there. Even now, just after a few cuts, the blade isn't sharp enough. But I'm just going to try this. The worst case scenario is that I sort of ruin this somehow with my sticky with all of my sticky and my knives. And then I have to repaint it, maybe even do a little bit of sanding. My point being, I'm unlikely to ruin it. It didn't work. There's a very clear separation. There's a very clear separation and a very clear misalignment. Okay, it didn't work. I'm going to try something else. I'll take this back off. Okay, so that was interesting. The overlapping thing, you can't do that. Somebody can maybe, but I can't. I can't do it. This is too thin and delicate. But what I can maybe do, what I'm thinking I can do, is if I have a very clean end, like that. That's very clean, very straight. What I think I can do is just simply get a piece and have a clean end on that one too, as clean as I can get it, and then just, put it up to that. I think I have a better chance with that.
Alrighty then, I will try to speak in a subtle voice because this microphone is very close to my face right now. So after the second layer of stain on this thing, I did a little bit more of this, and I'm actually quite happy with the way this has turned out so far. But before I finish the weathering on it, well, the final weathering is going to happen on the whole assembly. But let's say before I go any further weathering this, I think I'm going to work on the brake. So I've been studying the screenshots from the film, and it breaks sort of like this, and then in a long sort of splinter. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so the sharp-eyed viewer will have already noticed what I just realized, which is that I just spent a little over an hour making the wrong brake. Because if we look at the pictures, this now pretty well represents the part of the lands that Galen is left with after the fight. But I'm making the other half. I'm making the part of the lands that he doesn't have, that's still stuck in the dragon. So this is actually the wrong part of the break, which means that have to. Well, I don't have to. I could just lean into this, but I want to fix that little error. So what's going to happen, basically, of course, since this is Galen's half, the other half, this would be roughly the same. Like if it was, it would be mirrored. It would be on the other side of the thing if you were holding it in orientation. But this part that's just a sort of a straight break. But this part stuck on Galen's half, which means it should be missing here. So I'm going to basically do this. I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to cut all of this off. And then I'm gonna make this, this storytelling that sells it as a break. I'm gonna do that on this whole face. So I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna start cutting on this again. Right, it doesn't have to be completely tidy. See, because the thing I think that I want to do here, I have a jar here in which is this is just coffee grounds and water, and I'm going to try that. I know it can work really well, and I don't want the inside to look like the outside, so I'm definitely not using stain, and I'm also pretty sure that I don't want the inside to be as dark as the outside. I did not invent this idea by any stretch of the imagination. I know that a lot of artists use coffee for staining stuff, and I've seen, like for example, I've seen Adam Savage use it for staining stickers and stuff like that, paper, and I myself used it on a prop that was just supposed to be an old book page. I'll put a picture on screen if I can find one. So yeah, okie smoky. So this is how the broken lance shaft looks after I have given it a bit of this. And you know what? I think that's it. I'm thinking that maybe the shaft is still a little too neat, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a problem. I think it might be fine, especially when I start weathering it and banging it up a little bit, which I'm going to do, although in a very controlled manner. I think this is it. The shaft is it's ready for assembly and then weathering and dinging and whatever I'm going to do to it. Which means that what's going to happen now, we'll put this off to the side, and then I'm going to bring the metal parts back in because they look good. I am very happy with this, but they are, of course, way too pristine. And I'm going to start working on that. And the first thing that I believe that I should do is actually give it a bit of this steel wool. just do something about that end. So do that. Fun fact, this is actually my first use. This is literally the first use of my atom paints, which I've bought for a different project, and I haven't started using them yet. But this is a matte black, and I think it would work for this. But I actually think that this is now metalized, basic metalized. This is no longer plastic; it's metal for the basic appearance of it, and I'm very happy with it. I think it really works. So the next thing that's going to happen to this bit, I think, is actually going to be weathering and stuff, which means that's after assembly. So this one. When I do some actual weathering, like dirt and grime and dragon blood on top of this, forget about it. It's going to be so good. It's just an experiment to see what happens if I steel wool on top of it. And again, yes, just another thing that happens. Oh man, look at this. See if I can give you a sort of a view of this. On this side versus this side. See what I mean? Actually, I can see now that I'm looking at the camera, I can see these are a little bit too symmetric. I should probably, I'm going to erase one of them a little bit. That's better. But you see what I mean? The imperfections and the what looks like maybe scuffs or traces of corrosion. Don't know what that all is, but it looks good. It really, really looks good. So I've been working on these metal treatments off camera, and I'm not done yet, but it's getting better and better. And there's just I stumbled upon a technique that I just want to make sure that I get on video so I can share it with you guys. I'm still using the silver from the pen. I got a little bit of that silver paint on my little easel sort of thing here. And what I do is I get a little of it, and then I make a really dry brush, like really dry. And then I just sort of dry brush it. That's what it's called. I dry brush some of it on here, on the faces like this. Just get some of that. Get some of that silver on there like this. And honestly, it's a very theater sort of, very theatrical sort of metal, fake metal that you get out of it. It almost looks like if you buy a children's toy that's supposed to be a sword, but then I hit it. I mean, you can wait for it to dry, but you don't have to, I think. And hit it with a little bit of steel wool, but just getting a little bit of that, basically getting a lot, if not most of it, back off with the steel wool like this. And look at that. I think that works really well. This is going quite well, I think, with the sort of getting this towards the right look. I think the spear shaft here is now ready I weathered this a little bit, as you can see. I don't know if you can how clear it is, but I mean, I took it outside and I just banged it around on the asphalt a little bit. I've been smacking it somewhat randomly with a hammer and so on and so forth. And I'm just so that it doesn't look so pristine, and it actually works really well, I think. And then I also did another thing, which is that I noticed as I was doing all this, banging around and fiddling with it, I noticed that the stain, the wood stain I'd used, was coming off on my fingers. So I also gave it a thin layer of linseed oil, and these, I think, for as far as getting this to look like old metal, I think it's going pretty well. I mean, especially at a little bit of a distance, I think it sells well. But it's not weathered at all, so it's kind of uniform. It's black and silver. But I actually think that we are at the point now where I should assemble this. I should assemble, basically, I should put the metal trappings here on the shaft, and then start weathering and doing stuff to it to make it look, to tie it together and starting to add dimensionality to the paint job or to the weathering of it. I think I should do that while everything is together and assembled. So I'm actually going to do that now. And my plan is to use this, the CombiFlex. All right, you guys, here we go. It is now the next day and the glue has set. There we go. I'm not going to start being violent, but yes, these things are in fact stuck. So there we are. I simply cannot fit this in frame. My workshop is too small for this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the leather strap on it. So here's the leather, and the strap is going on between these two. And as far as I can tell, it's got a couple of winds here and a couple of winds here, and then 4 crossings. So that's what I'm going for. Here we go. So I just put this in the sink with some warm water. I think that's it. I gotta say, I like very much where this is going. Holy crap. I'm very happy with this. It's to see it together like this is kind of amazing.
I am in the finishing. I'm in finishing mode for this thing, and I should probably apologize for the really wonky camera angles. I'm trying to compensate for the fact that I'm in a small workspace with a very large, long thing, and I only have this table, and I can't come away from it with cameras, especially on that side, but not very much at all, actually. But anyway, I'm in finishing mode, I think. Well, for now. So, and for this, that means weathering. And I think the first pass I'm going to do is just some grime. And you know what? I think I'm gonna not do any more right now, and it's possible that I'm actually finished. Maybe there'll be a subtle pass or two. Maybe I'll do a little bit of this, the steel wool on the metal. But you know what? For all intents and purposes, this is now done. And again, I don't know how to show you this. I'm going to try and find out how to make some beauty shots, and then I'm going to show you those at the end of this video. This was, I think, the final pass. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. This bit too. That was the final pass. Weathering, painting, 3D printing, whatever, all of this stuff that's been going into this. I think I'm done. And these dirty hands are actually, that's a feature, not a bug right now. I just want to thank you guys, whoever followed along for this whole journey. I want to thank you, and yeah, I'm really happy with this. My largest prop so far. So don't forget to watch Dragonslayer if you didn't already, and stay for some beauty shots. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks so much for joining me and sticking with me, and I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye.